And here we are with the tips for success. Can you guys see that? Are we good? Are we thumbs up? We're good to go. Okay. So again, I apologize for that mishap. We want to talk about establishing a routine and schedule, praise efforts, taking breaks, checking in regularly, experimenting with learning and socialization, and adjusting expectations. And so first, I'd like to start off with you, Takia. Tell me, what do you do as far as adjusting your routine? I know you're a mom, you're teaching virtually to fifth graders at Camelot Elementary, but you're also at home with your son. Well, how are you adjusting your routine?
Yes, we are. I just live by the 3 Ps: plan, prep, and prepare. I try to plan ahead as much as possible. Scheduling is definitely important during this time. A lot of people are working from home, so having that healthy balance of work and home life is very important. So schedule out and plan as much as you can. Also, prepping, stocking up on things that you use regularly, whether it's for home or for work. And the last one is prepare to adjust, because nothing goes as planned. Be lenient on yourself. We are all doing the best that we can. So those are definitely things that I try to live by to keep everything working in my household.
And you know, and I like that. You know, you again, like we just saw with our technology. Technology doesn't always work as we plan, but we just do the best that we can and we keep it moving. Nicole, what about you? What kind of things do you do to help establish a routine within your home?
Well, I kind of live by my Google Calendar. I try to put everything in there because I can take it with me on the phone. I also have a planner. My children both have planners as well, and we do have a lot of whiteboards where checklists are. So as we go through our bells and different Zooms, we can check things off. But I can tell you, I don't know about the work-life balance that doesn't always happen for me. But I will say that I do give myself grace, and I do try to, especially having a son with executive dysfunction, trying to keep him organized is paramount so that he can flow through his day. And, I think having a planner, Google Calendar, anything you can help to organize so you know when things are occurring will help you. We use also a lot of timers and alarms to remind us, because you know what, honestly, we're human and we'll forget things, and that just happens for everybody.
And you said the key word. We're human. I know we try to, as parents, we're always hard on ourselves. We want the best for our kids. We want to get it right the first time. But again, it's trial and error. Just finding out what works best for your family. Again, and just like you said, what may work for you may not work for others. So you just gotta kind of figure out what works best for your family dynamics. So I'd like to move on to praising efforts. We know that, especially during this pandemic, it's so important for us to make sure that we are praising our kids, not only as a teacher, praising our students, but we also want to make sure that we praise our own children. So Nicole, tell me, what type of things do you do? I know you have two different dynamics going on in your home. How do you reward or praise your children, just even for the small things? What type of things do you do?
Well, we have a chalkboard that we use some chalkboard paint, and we took a wall, and we use the check marks, for every time they complete either a chore or an activity that they're supposed to. So we do that so we can kind of keep track. They're better at keeping track than I am. A certain amount of points equal a certain reward. Also, I also try to, if they, especially my daughter, who loves to tell me every time she's doing well, because for her that's often, and she should be praised often. So she loves to get that positive reinforcement, so she works really hard for that, and I love to give it. My son, he also likes positive reinforcement for sure, definitely doesn't like the negative. And but at the same time, I think for him, knowing that he can check off and complete everything, he's very much a rule follower. I'm not, but he is. So he loves to be reinforced. Oh yeah, good job following that rule, you know. And we work through the when our friends don't, it's still it's, you know, there are consequences for them, but for you, you know, you just kind of stick to your schedule, your rules, and all will be well. I can tell you sometimes with my husband, who works a month on, a month off, he and I switch. And then, of course, when we're both helping together, there's different dynamics. You know, one parent is a little more lenient than others. I'm very like, let's just follow the schedule as best we can, and you know, try to do everything. Where my husband's like, oh well, we didn't get to that today, no worries, and very flexible. And I'm like, yeah, we really needed to do that. So, you know, I'm much more of the let's get it all done instead of, oh, let's just let it slide. So that can be a bit of a challenge, but we work through it, and Alex certainly does his best to impress us.
Very good. Okay, and Dakia, what kind of things do you do in your home as far as praising? And then also, could you talk a little bit about what you do with your kids? I know kids often get frustrated, especially with virtual learning, and they're kind of hard on themselves. They want to get it right. They want to impress the teacher. They're worried about peer relations and making sure that kids are not teasing them or feeling like they're not smart. What type of things do you do as far as that's concerned?
Well, for my students, they definitely do really well with the virtual reward charts, and a lot of positive reinforcement, positive feedback. They really just like the smallest thing just kind of gets them excited. And games, the virtual games that we do. But with providing feedback for me, you know, not to, you know, I don't want to ever embarrass the student or anything like that. So luckily with the Zoom feature, they have the private chat box so I can message them. And even when they're responding back to me, I have them do it separately. They just respond just to me, not the whole group, you know, their answer. That way I can also self-check if they're understanding what's going on. So at the end of the week, we also get to play games, so things like virtual scavenger hunts. Today, we met our reading goal. We were doing some virtual books and reading. So something as small as letting them get 2 or 3 minutes just to say hello to their friends in the chat box. They don't get to see each other. They're not having that, you know, face-to-face interaction with their friends. They haven't seen them in a really long time. So something as small as that was like major for them today in class. For my son, he is not hard to please. He loves, you know, getting praised. Like Nicole was saying about her daughter, he loves getting praised. So just like the smallest thing, like, oh my gosh, you got, you know, he's doing awesome on his assessments. So praising him with that. He loves video games. It's the era of video games. So on the weekends when he gets to play, if he does well during the week and meets his goals, he can have extra video play time, or an activity of choice. He just started skateboarding, so we're a little nervous about that, but we are trying to, you know, he got a new skateboard just because he's been doing like really well. So just doing those little things to help the kids stay motivated.
That's great. And interestingly enough, you're talking about skateboarding. That brings us into our third point of taking breaks. And it's very important, not just for our everyday learners, but also for our exceptional learners. Eunice, your expertise is in the area of exceptional learners. What do you recommend as far as taking breaks throughout the day? I know it's hard for anyone to kind of sit in front of a screen for 2 and 3 hours at a time, and to sit in a chair and just look at the screen. What type of things do you recommend parents do at home?
One of the things that I do suggest to parents is to look at the child's IEP, their modifications and their accommodations that they have. You also can take advantage of your case manager's office hours to find out what types of accommodations, modifications, strategies that she use within the classroom setting that you can implement at home. there are a lot of in-app timers that are out there that you can use if you want to keep a child on task, where you could it's actually, some are free, some cost, where you could actually see, like, it build a picture, and that lets them keep up with what they're doing and staying on task. If you're not able to have those things, you can at least use sticky notes, and do 5 sticky notes, 1 to 5, 10 minutes apiece. And every 10 minutes you take away the sticky note, so that they know that by the time that they get to the last one, that they should have completed whatever they're doing. If you're transitioning between, it's always good to have a timer. So if you're using something, that transition or that break, let it be something that they may enjoy. They may like playing with Legos, and maybe they may want to read a book for a few minutes. So it's good to limit that time, and you can use a timer, set it, and say, okay, when this timer goes off, we got to go back on task.
All right, very good. And Dakia, do you want to talk a little bit about what you do for breaks throughout the day? What about with your children? Is your schedule so that you go from 7:30 in the morning until 1? What do you do throughout the day to give your kids breaks? Are there resources? What type of things happen?
Yes, so in the morning, we do have resources. And I also, after I'm doing my whole group teaching, I also let them log off where they're doing their independent work. So that's a time for them to tell them they can use the bathroom during that time, do some light stretching, maybe get a snack. So I don't want them just sitting there the whole time. So I do, like, after I do my whole spiel, I do let them log off, because they are, you know, 5th graders gaining that independence, and they are able to complete their independent assignments on their own. And then we'll meet back together, and they've been doing really well with that.
All right, great. Thanks for sharing. Another point that we talked about is checking in regularly with the child's teacher. Nicole, could you talk to us a little bit about what you do to make sure not only that you're checking in with your child, but you're also checking in with the teacher to make sure your child is learning, especially with your child with exceptional learning? How do you make sure that you're following his IEP?
So I have I saved a copy, a digital copy of his IEP on my computer, and I just kind of go through that to make sure, like, he's had a couple of quizzes and assessments, and giving him extra time to complete those is in his IEP. So we're just, hey, he's, going to need till tomorrow to complete this. And we downloaded the Read Aloud extension on Chrome. My case manager has been pretty awesome. She's been really good, and actually she's beat me to it. But I have had to ask for more time, and both his general education teacher and special education case manager are pretty really good about making sure he has the extra time to do things. But I think communication with them, emailing, has been great. They've been very responsive, but also being able to send, I'm learning how to send the messages through Schoology. I'm actually trying to get him to, my student to send those messages himself, or I'm prompting him to do that. So we're both learning that, and that's been helpful, to communicate with them. But yeah, so I'm a big email person. So if you are too, email's great. And it's also giving you a record of the conversation too. So if you need to refer back to something, or maybe you don't have a copy of the IEP, you can at least have a paper trail.
Thank you. And let me ask you, Leonis, what type of strategies can parents do to mimic things that are on the IEP?
Well, one thing I do suggest to parents is they have to develop a routine. And if you develop a routine, that means you have to have a schedule. So the schedule and the routine go hand in hand. And once you've set your schedule, you have to be open to changes. And when the changes do occur, you need to at least express that to your child and talk through it with them. And once you have developed your schedule, you can post it. So you can use what we call visual supports, which are just simply pictures. They could be pictures for kids that are young, who are just learning, who really don't know how to read, our little preschooler babies and our kindergartners that are trying to read. You can use the picture with the topic, like if it's math, if it's reading, if it's science. And you could after you do those pictures, you can post them so that they know that at this time we're doing math, at this time we're doing reading. And for kids who are having problems with transitioning, or if it's too much, like you're trying to do those countdowns, you can say, well, we'll do math, reading, and then whatever special it is, you could have a picture of that. So we do this, this, and we get to this.
All right, thank you very much. The next thing that we'd like to talk about is being willing to experiment not only with learning, but also with socialization. And Takia, I'd like to ask you, could you recommend or tell me what you have your parents doing as far as reinforcing what you're learning in school, and then how do you incorporate socialization amongst your kids while you're learning virtually?
Okay, well, going back to what the parents can do, I really have stressed, I've sent out so much stuff to them about, like Ms. Brown was saying, routines and scheduling to help them stay organized and prioritize, having their designated workspace to limit distractions. I know that we have heard that so many times, but it really, really is important. Because even me, if I had the TV on right now, I would just be glancing at it and not focused on what I'm doing right now. Providing positive feedback to help motivate the students is very hard for the teachers to get that motivation like we did in the classroom, because we're not, hands-on with them right now. So really having the parents help with that piece so that students can get motivated about getting their work done and making those good grades. Getting familiar with our online learning platforms is very important. Seeing how to navigate those things, because it is very difficult sometimes for the students, especially the younger students, to get acclimated to what's going on and how to click here and do that. So if the parents are watching those videos that we posted on CPS website and getting registered with their parent portals, it's very, it opens up those lines of communication with the teacher. Also talking about what you have learned with your student is very important. What they have learned for the day is very important. If they are able to tell you what they've learned, they're kind of taking, they're being proactive with their learning, basically.
Right.
And always staying positive. Like you were saying before, the internet doesn't work all the time. Schoology doesn't work all the time. Zoom doesn't work all the time. And I know it's very frustrating, but just having a positive attitude about it. Even my kids today, I got kicked off, but when I came back on, I was like, it's okay. It's not I don't want them to get stressed out about not being able to access their technology.
Exactly. And I know we, Ms. Brown and I, Eunice and I, were on another webinar before, and we talked about, technology. It's really great. It's a great tool. We just have to learn to be patient. And again, as educators, as parents, we have to also realize that our reaction is what our kids are looking at, so we have to make sure that we keep calm and cool, and then they in turn will keep calm and cool as well. So just kind of go along with the flow. And of course, today we did have a few glitches, but we kept going on with it. We keep going with the smile. Now I want to talk a little bit about that. Yes, go ahead, Lisa.
Can I share something? Because in the area of socialization, our children that have special needs are the ones that are often socially isolated, and in this virtual life that we're in now, they tend to have that, to be more isolated than any other child. So we do encourage that any child, but especially the children with special needs, that they build opportunities to have that daily socialization. You have Facebook, you have WhatsApp, you have Google Hangout, Marco Polo. Those are those things that you can use so they can connect with their family and their friends. Also, there's some great platforms that are out there where they can do online things like games like chess, or you can even get a group for your older kids. They could actually do online homework together.
That's really, really good. And again, like I have a little one who's in third grade, and the new thing was Facebook Messenger, where through a parent's account, kids could message one another in a safe platform, and then you as a parent would get a weekly printout of who your child's been talking to and how they've been communicating, because it's very important that we don't lose that socialization piece. Right now, many of our kids are isolated from their friends. And it's tough when you have an only child or a child with big age gaps. They kind of miss out on that socialization piece. So it's really important to make sure that we incorporate some type of socialization. Again, we always want to be safe, but kids do need to see other kids and have kid time and talk, Fortnite and things of that nature. Thank you very much for sharing that. And our last point is adjusting our expectations. And I think we all talked about this, just knowing that everything is not going to be perfect, and what works today may not work tomorrow. But Nicole, could you talk a little bit about what types of things you do to adjust your schedule throughout the day? I know sometimes maybe your daughter might call your attention more so than your other child. What type of things do you do to adjust your expectations?
So I would say, for my younger learner, actually, she's the one who's like pretty self-sufficient. She's like, I don't need your help. I'm like, okay. But my son requires the most attention, my exceptional learner. And I would say my expectations, having switched off back and forth between Dad and I with our work schedules, we try to just, if something changes, just trying to reinforce the fact that it's okay. Why don't I always give him a choice of deciding between, all right, we're going to do this, but then, hey, we'll get to go do this after this. Or do you want to, if we're ending early, would you like to go have iPad time? Of course, he's always happy to work for iPad time. So that's always a good reinforcer when things change. Or, maybe he wants to get an extra snack or something, food, especially for my middle schooler, which is what he is always good, because there's never enough food in the house for a growing boy.
Right. I know Dakia can relate to that because her son is in the 4th grade, and I'm sure these kids, they love to eat, and it's never enough for them. But they're growing and they're going to be big people one day, so we want to make sure that they get their nutrition from home. So let me ask another question. Eunice, we talked a lot about expectations, praising our students and our kids at home, and routine. What would you say, what advice would you give to a parent who is a parent of a younger exceptional learner that won't stay still, gives a fit about coming online, doesn't want to talk to the teacher and interact? What type of advice would you give that parent?
Well, actually, I think it's a lot of communication as far as with talking to the kid and the child and preparing him for that day and his expectations. You do want to use, I would suggest using the picture schedules or some visual supports to help keep that child on task. You may want to talk to the teacher as far as how you can modify the time, maybe break it up a little, so that they can sit for so long and then they may have a break. So those are the kinds of things that you can work out with the teacher, along with the visual supports, which are really good as far as keeping the kids on task, and the visual timer is a good one.
All right, thank you very much. So at this time, Eunice, I'd like to do a little pulse check. And again, parents, if you have any questions or comments, I know I did see a hand raised in reference to a question. Can we do a little question and answer check and see if we have any parents that have any questions about anything that we've talked about so far?
Well, I do have one from a parent who would like to know what type of Chrome extensions would be helpful for them.
Okay, so it depends on, I don't know, Dakia, do you want to answer any of those questions? Like, what type of other extensions do you allow your child to get on? I know we do IXL, I think, throughout the school system, Epic Learning for reading. What type of programs do you have your children getting on?
So are we doing programs or the Chrome extensions?
Well, I think they're like apps. Are we talking about apps?
Well, I don't use the Google Meets anymore, but they did have Chrome extensions that you can download to help have a better experience with Google Meet, but I prefer Zoom. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's what they were referring to.
Um, Again, if
Well,
we get the parent to make a clarification, I was thinking more or less apps and software programs. Nicole, I saw you nodding your head. Do you use any type of extensions?
Yes, we use, I just downloaded today the Read Aloud Chrome extension, so he can have that as part of his accommodation. So if you go into the Google Chrome and the extensions section, you can search for all kinds of extensions, things to enhance their learning experience.
And that might be something again that we could ask when we talk to Ms. Badawi. We could talk to her about some extensions and things of that nature. Anything else,
I
Leona?
do have another one. I can't find it, but it's in regards to breaks. Some kids have 30-minute breaks or a couple hour breaks. And how can you deal with children? What kind of suggestions can you do you have as far as keeping kids, I guess, on task or during those breaks?
Well, I do know that schools have set up schedules and the breaks go according to how the teacher has set up her schedule. Ms. Claiborne, Ms. Dakia, do you want to kind of elaborate on that?
Yes, so I teach 5th grade, and when we have our breaks, my students, for the most part, they have work to complete during that time. So I think that keeps them pretty busy, but I also give them a little extra time for a bathroom and, a snack like I mentioned before. But say for instance, math, we have an hour block and then they have 30 minutes. So I assign them an asynchronous activity where they would log on, do their assignment, and then submit it to me and come back to class. And then same thing for our reading block when we have our, after they have left reading group with me, they have activities to be doing. So for my students, they do have a schedule, which I do push out to them in Schoology with, where they can check off what they've done, as well as, I always have must do and may do activities. So the must do are things that they have to complete. And then if they're done, I give them some may do activities to take up their time. It just depends on how quickly they complete their work. And of course, everybody works at different pace. So I do provide activities for them to do in that meantime.
Thank you. And I think, again, like she said, different schools and different grade levels have different schedules. I do know with Chesapeake Public Schools, we do allow students to have resources, particularly in grades K through 5, where they have a breakout time for that. And in speaking from my perspective, my daughter's a 3rd grader, and their teacher allows time for them to go out into breakout rooms so that she can work with small groups. And again, they give an assignment for them. Once they finish their assignment, that's kind of a break for them. Again, we've got to, make sure that we understand that virtual learning is a little different than actually being in the classroom in person. So a lot of times teachers will give students assignments to complete on their own while they're working in a smaller group with other students. So again, that varies from school to school. So I want to go ahead, for the sake of time, I want to go ahead and move on. I wanted to share a little bit. I know Nicole, as I said it before, Nicole works with the Autism Society, and they have a few activities and things planned, events planned that parents can attend. So at this time, Nicole, I want you to go ahead and kind of talk about the programs that your society offers.
So I'm the chapter operations manager for the Autism Society Tidewater, Virginia. We're a local affiliate of the Autism Society of America. And for individuals on the autism spectrum, we provide community trainings for both parents and caregivers, as well as we offer twice weekly parent web chats, one for parents of adults and one for parents of children. And then for our Latino families, we have it every other Friday. And then we look forward to very soon, hopefully, resuming our Chat and Choose, which are in-person support groups. But we'll keep our parent web chats going because we found that they're very successful. And, we want to be able to offer parents, meet them where they're at. So if they prefer the virtual format. I teach Autism 101, 201, and other topic-specific trainings. just to go back to that number one topic. But we also have family gatherings. We partner with other organizations to offer family gatherings. And then we have our respite nights, which are right now put on hold, but hopefully in the next couple weeks we'll resume. We're very eager to restart respite. I know as a parent, we all need respite. I run an organization pretty much. I'm the only full-time employee, so I work 18-hour days. I could definitely use some respite. We also, for our teens and young adults, we have socials, community outings, and then we also have, different adult-based social gatherings for even if you have a student who's still in school up to 22, we have our Awesome Adults with Autism. But that Awesome Adults with Autism social gathering is for all adults. So that's our programs, and we look forward to continuing our virtual offerings. And oh yes, at Chesapeake City Park, November 14th, we're having our awesome superheroes, autism superheroes versus villains 5K and Little Hero Fun Run. It's a mouthful. I apologize. We'll have the live event on the 14th of November, as well as our virtual event all month long. So if you want to extend the costume wearing for all of November, we encourage that, and we look forward to seeing you guys at Chesapeake City Park. And yes, those are our flyers for our parent web chat and our Autism 101.
All right, thank you very much, Nicole. And again, we'll have her contact information at the conclusion of our video. We will also be posting this video chat on YouTube so that you can reference it at a later date. Next, we're going to quickly go on to Ms. Brown. We talked about, as part of the family and community engagement, we're trying to make sure that we reach out to our families and provide successful online strategies for our families. So can you just talk to us a little bit about Slant and other online resources you have available for families?
Yeah, I do want to go through it quickly because we're getting a lot of questions about Schoology. So I want to yield a lot of my time to Gigi so that she can actually get through and answer some of these good questions that are coming in tonight. Basically, Slant is just a space for learning. You need to look at the screen. You need to ask questions, nod your head, and talk to others. These are just the distant learning expectations that we are expecting of our students. You can find this Slant online learning success on this slide, and I've had questions about gifted kids tonight, Lisa. What can we do for our gifted students? And we actually have a flyer that I put together, Surviving Learning Online. There are strategy articles for strategies and also support websites for students that address gifted and special needs, all students. So you can find that on our FACE website, and you can access those websites from there.
All right, thank you very much. And again, I want to thank Nicole Miller and Zakia White for joining us for the beginning part of our virtual chat. At this time, I think everybody's been waiting for our next presenter, Ms. Gigi Badawi. She is the Assistant Director of Teaching and Learning, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about Schoology and some of the questions that have been coming in through our chat box. So good afternoon, Gigi. I'm glad to see you, and I'm glad you are joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Yeah, so now that we're back into session and Schoology is up and running, I know parents are, chopping at the bits trying to learn more about Schoology and how they can help their children. Where can parents access videos of previously taught lessons?
Good.
So the parents can actually access previously taught lessons within their child's courses. Each teacher should be recording some of the sessions and posting them within the Schoology course. And so that's probably the best location right there, is within the actual student's course is where those lessons will be.
All right, thank you very much. Now, how do parents go about getting a notification of a returned assignment that they may need to redo or things of that nature? So if, for example, if they turned in an assignment and they were missing some items, how do they get notifications of what's due, what they haven't completed, or what's upcoming?
So hopefully a lot of the parents that are joining us this evening have signed up for the Schoology parent portal. Would it be possible for me to share my screen so I can kind of go through some of that and show them?
Sure, yes,
Would you-
sure.
Okay.
Yep. All right. I think you have access, Gigi. You can go ahead.
Okay, great. All right. I'm going to go ahead, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and stop my video just to make sure that everything runs smoothly, if you will. What I'm going to do is, forgive me if some of you have already done this, but I am going to walk you through where the parent portal is and some of these questions, as far as a lot of you are asking questions about how can I see everything that my child has, because some of you, depending on the grade level that your children are in, they have a lot of courses and you want one place. There are some caveats, but I'll go over that. So just bear with me. I'm going to share my screen and here we go.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Let me stop my video first. Okay, so while I'm pulling up my screen, what I wanted to, hopefully each of you were able to get your child's parent access code, right? And from that parent access code, you should have been able to go to the Schoology.com. And then with that, what you would do, and then if someone will keep track of what's going on in the Q&A, that will be great. And let me know if I'm on the right track with the parents.
Yep.
All
While
right.
I'm doing that, would you help me please, Lisa?
Yes, I will. Yes.
Now, I mean, if you see any trends and questions, that would be great.
Okay.
So as parents, if you haven't received your parent access code, then by all means, reach out to your child's homeroom teacher and ask them for that access code, because the teachers are able to provide that to you. And what you'll do is you'll go to Schoology.com, and upon getting to this particular website, up at the top right, you'll see an area where it says sign up. And obviously we want to select that we're parents. And then in that particular area, and it's going to come up that I am already signed in. But if I sign up as a parent, let me see if I can get this to work for me, and it won't. What'll happen is there will be an area that will pop up and it will show you exactly where to put your access code. And we do have a flyer that is available that is available on our website that will explain to you exactly what you do. So once you get that access code, then you'll log in to app.schoology.com. And what I'd like to show you is, this is my dashboard for my fake child. My children are grown and they are done. But like right here, I have a test student. So once I log in, all of you should be seeing things like any type of recent activity, any type of general posts that are up there for you and for your students. The other thing that you should see as a parent, up here, you'll notice that I've got no upcoming assignments or events. But let me take you to my test child, so to speak. All right, and all I did is I just hovered over my test child. And now, if I go over to his courses, let me go to this one over here. You'll notice that over to the right, there are going to be all the upcoming assignments here. Now, if that test child is also out on the, or you as a parent, we're looking at this as parents. If I'm the parent and I'm out here at the splash, if there were upcoming events for any of the child's information, courses, it'll be right here on the right. But because it's a test child, you're not seeing anything currently. The other thing that I wanted to show you very quickly is that one thing we're noticing is that parents will be toggled in to their view. As a parent, you're not going to be able to see anything. You're done. You're not in school anymore. So to be sure that you are looking at your child's particular information, make sure that you are toggled in. And then you'll be able to see, you should be able to see everything that a child has. So let's go in here. You'll notice.
Can I ask you a question? We've got one question that while you're talking about this. So are you saying that, so for example, one of the parents wants to know, is will all the courses come up? So for example, if I have a child in middle school and they have 4 classes, will all that information come up in upcoming assignments for every single class that they take?
It should, as long as we're toggled onto one student. And the caveat is that the teachers must have assigned a due date.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect.
Mm-hmm. So like if I have more than one child, I only have one test student, but then I would have to toggle to each different child's splashboard, if you will,
Okay.
in order to see any upcoming events that they may have. Do you see any other questions?
No, the other question was that the parent could see, could check the progress of their child, but some of the things said private access only.
So the private access only, we're finding if, depending on if it's a child that's getting that error or if the parent is getting that error, it's possible that some of the things within the course are only going to be visible to students. And that is things such as like an assessment, things like that, because obviously the child is the one who needs to take the assessment.
Okay.
But all of the other content should be visible to the parent. Like anything that I'm taking a look at my child's module, if you will, right now, and there isn't anything that I'm not going to be able to see. I'm wondering if the private access is perhaps something that was shared in a Google Drive. And if that's the case, then it will be visible to the child and not to the parent, since they're not on our Google.
All right, perfect.
If that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's it for right now. I've got some other questions, but it doesn't pertain to what we're doing right at this moment.
Okay, so I just, like I said, parents, I just wanted to show you very briefly that, the one thing that you want to focus on is when you do have your particular account created, just make sure that you are toggling to your specific child. And then when you're on your child's profile, please understand your child can't use this and actually be successful doing any work. This is just for you to see what's going on with your child. Once you click the courses tab, you will see all of the courses that your child's enrolled in. You will see announcements over here in the main area, if you will, that's to the left, and then any upcoming assignments, provided the teacher has provided the teachers have provided assignments, will be here. You can also, let me see if this will come up for you. You can also, if you click on the calendar, you can see that here are all of the assignments that are due. Now, please keep in mind that if I click on a particular calendar item, it will give me all of the information, but I know that several questions have come up about, can something on the calendar give me a notification? And that feature is just simply not available right now through Schoology. We can obviously see if their R&D will take that into consideration. Their research and development team will take that into consideration.
Okay, Gigi, as you're talking about the calendar, is there a clear place for, does it clearly show completed versus uncompleted assignments or incomplete assignments, excuse me? Or is
So
it just
what will
all the
happen
assignments?
what should again, and it's all, what should happen is once we're here on the splash page, as a parent, I will see upcoming assignments, but I will also see overdue assignments here.
Okay.
So that feature is available. Unfortunately, I just happen to be in the wrong course right now to show this. So, but yes, it will show up as an assignment that is overdue for the parent.
Gigi, can I ask you, you may have already answered this. So if
Sure.
there's once the child submits an assignment, do they get notification that that assignment has been submitted?
The child or the parent?
Or either one?
Okay, so the child will receive a notification upon submission,
Okay.
but but they have to be within the platform. It's not like it will give them if you will, a submission that they have. They're not going to get an email, I guess.
Okay, but it'll be like a something that tells them that it is. Okay.
It should, yes, absolutely. It'll give them some
Okay.
sort of notification that gives them the indication that, okay, I submitted my assignment.
Okay.
Matter of fact, if I move very quickly, well, I'm not in as a child.
Okay.
it will give them a little message that states that, okay, their assignment has been submitted.
Is it possible to make it so that upcoming assignments don't show up in the upcoming events on the Schoology calendar? I'm guessing the parent just wants to know the current events as opposed to upcoming. Is there a way that parents can check that off on their own settings?
That is a default of the system.
Okay.
We've been asked that as well by other folks, and that is a default of the system as far as the upcoming event setting. What other questions do we have?
Go ahead, Alina.
Well, actually, there is one parent. Apparently, there are forms within there that they have to sign, but there is no way that they can sign them. How can they sign the forms? I guess they're like lab forms that they may have to sign.
Lab forms that they have to sign.
Some forms are required. Yeah.
Okay. So if there's not a signature area on that, and if they are required to sign a form and it's requiring something like an Adobe Reader, then they will need to make sure that they're on a Windows-based laptop.
Okay.
That accept it, or using the Cami app.
Okay.
Okay.
And then what I wanted to point out very quickly for you parents is that I went here to my particular settings. And then let me go into my test student. You'll notice here there is the ability, I just had it, forgive me, ladies and gentlemen. You'll notice there is a place to receive weekly or updates on your child's activity if you do want to do that, and then you can turn on or off the emails as far as if something has been, the child hasn't completed it. You can go in and set this up for yourselves. We do not do that for you because some parents prefer not to receive an email daily and some prefer to receive it weekly. So as parents, you do have the ability to sign up for an email digest, if you will, and it will automatically send you a small summary of what your child's activity is online.
Okay.
That's one thing. Yeah.
Now, a parent is asking, can they set up their Zoom scheduled times within this platform? So, for example, when when the teacher does a Zoom lesson, can they set it up in Schoology to remind the student to log into their Zoom?
Let me stop sharing very quickly. To the real world. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Lisa. You were talking about Zoom. So
yes,
right now,
can they log in? I'm sorry. Can they log into their calendar in Schoology and put in information?
So every child has access to put in their own personal information in the calendar. Yes. It can be used as a time management feature for the child. So yes, if the child wanted to do that and take that link and put it into, an event or something like that, they could. So yes, the calendar is readily available for the student to use for their own reminders, if you will. It's not just whatever a teacher puts up there in the calendar. The children do have the ability to add their own events.
All right, and I have another question from a parent who is also an employee. She wants to know if the Schoology parent codes are available in Parent View. She lost the access and wants to know if she can get that access code from Parent View.
No, not any longer. So that was something that was done before it was available to the homeroom teachers readily. So if you will, just go ahead and reach out to your homeroom teacher, and that homeroom teacher will provide you with the code.
Okay, perfect. And okay, great. I got that the teacher doesn't have the access codes anymore, so they can actually call the office.
They can contact me because the teachers have the access codes.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. I think we're good.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Leena.
I think we are.
All right, so I think we've answered all the questions that we have. Again, if you need a Schoology parent code, contact the teacher. And if hopefully the teacher will be able to provide you with that information. And if not, they could contact Teaching and Learning, or should they contact the principal?
They really should contact the teacher, because the teacher does have the ability to pull that access code. And if they're unable to do so, then that teacher can contact the TIS, who can then contact me.
Okay, perfect.
But I went in today and was able to pull my access code. So.
And then there's a question, her child submitted an assignment and didn't complete it. Is there a way for them to unsubmit assignments that they've turned in?
Without altering the questions. It depends on
Yes.
how the teacher has it set up. So without a better scenario, it depends on how the teacher has it set up. Usually there is a way for a teacher to allow a child to resume a test or a quiz, and then they can go in there, the settings, and make it so that they can resubmit if necessary, depending on what the circumstances are.
Okay.
Depends on what the circumstances are, obviously.
All right, and I had a parent asking for the daily summary again. Again, that's through the calendar. And if they go in as a parent and go into their settings, they can go to the calendar and see the daily summary, correct?
In the calendar, it'll show either a monthly or a weekly summary, but if they go in as a parent, they can also see whatever is coming up due in the the right-hand side of the screen under updates. And it'll be updates, not yet due, but it'll be overdue if it has the due date.
All right.
But
Well,
if
thank you.
you've got a daily summary for them to be, for their emails, then that's in settings.
All right, thank you. I think we've answered all the questions. Eunice, are you good on your side?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I did see one question about a parent mentioning something about read alouds. Again, the read alouds, there are read alouds available through our public library. Some websites do provide read alouds for students. I think the particular read aloud that we talked about earlier was an app, an extension that you can get on your Google Chromebooks that reads the story aloud. Are parents allowed to do that if they have a Google Chromebook from the school? Are they allowed to download that extension?
There are certain approved extensions that are available on all the Chesapeake Public Schools Chromebooks. And once a child is logged into the Chromebook, all they would do is go to the Chrome Web Store, and then off to the right, excuse me, I can never get my directions straight. Off to the left, there will be a tab that says for Chesapeake Public Schools use, or something to that effect. I'm trying to go up with memory here. And if they click that, there will be a list of extensions that are available for the students to download to their machine. Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
No problem. And then there is a longer video of the entire Schoology demonstration that is available on our website. So those of you who, I know that I had to go a little fast here, but there is a longer video for you all to review. And we encourage you to do that as well, to make sure that you get like a good feel of what exactly is and isn't available within Schoology. Please keep in mind that we always do tell our parents that while Schoology, we are using that for the instructional purposes, your teacher view account is always going to be your official gradebook of record. So we will refer you always to teacher view for grades for your students. The grades in the gradebook in Schoology are not visible to parents because we want to make sure that the accurate grades are provided to you through teacher view.
Okay, and after an assignment is graded, can students go back and review the assignment so that parents can go back and, I guess, review for studying habits?
With some assignments, yes. And in some cases too, depending on how a teacher has it set up, it'll also give them the incorrect versus the correct answers, depending on how the teacher sets it up.
Okay. Thank you very much. I saw a few people raise their hands. Right this time, we can only answer questions that are put through the chat box. If you have any further questions, you can feel free to contact us. And I'm going to share my screen again. You can contact us at the Office of Family and Community Engagement. I know that I did see a few hands raised about online books and 504s in place. Again, things with regarding to 504 or IEPs, you can direct those questions to leunis.brown@cpschools.com. Online books and read aloud books can also be found at the Chesapeake Public Library. If you Google Chesapeake Public Library, you'll be directed to the library site and you will see a variety of online materials for your kids, as well as tutoring information. We will have more webinars coming up really soon. Our next webinar will be catered to ELL families as English language learners. We'll be talking about how they can access tech tools. And then we also have another webinar discussing mental health and how we can help our children during that pandemic. So please check us out on Facebook. You can also go to the Family and Community Engagement page. Information is also being sent out in Peach Jar. Again, our contact information is listed on the screen. We will have this up on YouTube, and I would like to thank all of our panelists tonight. We really appreciate you volunteering your time to provide your expertise. Again, thank you, Nicole Miller, Dakia White, and Gigi Badawi. We greatly appreciate all that you've done, and we hope you have enjoyed our Family Empowerment webinar. Thank you, and have a great evening. Again, please contact us if you need us. Thank you.